What's going on? Big Dawg Brett. Thanks so much for tuning in. So glad you guys are here. Today we're going to be talking about a lot of things. The Michigan cancels the game. LSU's got players leaving and a self-imposed bowl ban. Muschamp gets fired. Beamer replaces him. Tennessee's Jordan Allen, 4-star recruit, enters the transfer portal. Derek Mason's fired. Who wants that job? Maybe a guy from Notre Dame. I don't know. We'll be back. Tell you right after this.
Shut up and sit down.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks so much for being part of the show. Really appreciate it. Take this opportunity to hit like and subscribe. Really helps the channel. Thank you guys so much for doing that. It helps drive the metrics for the channel. So it just takes a moment to like, and then that's one of the things that YouTube uses to measure whether it recommends it to other people. So that helps. So if you want to do that, appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the bell notification. It's right here somewhere, so hit that. Okay, so yeah, and don't forget to share. Send it to your mom and them. So much to get into. We're gonna go through quite a bit, guys. Lots of updates, lots of stuff going on. First and foremost, right out of the gate, this just came out. LSU gives itself a bowl ban for some of the let's just say indiscretion. October announced that it would offer 8 football scholarships over 2 years with a reduction in recruiting visits, communications, and evaluations as penance for its football program, breaking the most serious Level 1 NCAA rules from 2012 to 2017. These violations included $180,000 in payments to LSU booster John Paul Funes, not sure how you say that name, to James Alexander for a no-show job. Now, James Alexander is the son of Vidal Alexander, an offensive lineman from Buford, Georgia, who was a starting tackle and guard at LSU from 2012 to 2015 under former coach Les Miles. Funes admitted in court to embezzling, check yourself, $500,000 from a Baton Rouge hospital. He's stealing money from the hospital, y'all. Good night. Current coach Ed O, he's also got some problems. Improper recruiting contact in January 2019, also involved in the NCAA investigation, self-reported by LSU in January. Self-imposed penalties by LSU are also related to the $2,000 in cash that a former LSU, Mr. Odell Beckham Jr., handed out to players right after they won the national championship. Now, we all kind of knew that was a no-no, but that wasn't the big problem. I mean, some folks had a problem with it, some folks didn't. I kind of understand what he was trying to do there, but he didn't do it the right way. The problem I have with all of this is LSU was going to do this stuff at the beginning of the season, and then they decided not to because they figured, hey, maybe we got a shot at something. I don't know why they thought that. But now that they are about to get decimated and their season's pretty much over, now all of a sudden they want to issue a bowl ban. I'd be surprised if they'd made a bowl anyway, but this is just absolutely ridiculous to me because they're saying, oh, we'll take a bowl ban now. It's like, yeah, when it ain't gonna hurt. You didn't want to do that at the beginning of the season. But yeah, obviously things are pretty bad over at LSU. LSU's got one guy already entered the transfer portal, Mr. Eric Gilbert, A-R-I-K. Eric, I'm not sure if that's how you say that name either. But he was a 5-star recruit, and Georgia wanted this guy. This guy was a monster tight end. He's like 6'5", 230 pounds. His 5-star recruiting rating was .9972. I was really disappointed when we didn't get this guy. He says in his in his statement, or I don't know if it was in his statement, but the talk around the water cooler is that the reason that he's leaving LSU is because he's homesick. He's from Marietta, Georgia. So Athens is about an hour and a half away from there. So it would make sense as to why he might want to come back and play for Georgia. If you go back and look through his recruiting history, he had visited Georgia, and then he visited LSU, and then he committed to LSU. So Georgia was very high on his radar. To tell you how good this guy is, if you just look at his junior and senior year, his junior year he had 88 receptions for 1,210 yards. Yes, you heard that correct. For an average of 13.8 yards per carry, per catch, however you want to say it. His senior year, he had 105 receptions for 1,860 yards, 17.7 per catch. That's a lot. So, yeah, pretty excited about that young guy. Hopefully he comes to Georgia. We'd love to have him here. Now, that's not the only thing going on. Big Ten changes the rules. Michigan opted to not play due to coronavirus. Apparently, they're pretty heavily inundated with it over there. So they wanted to not play this game. Honestly, I won't say I don't blame them because I would love to see the teams play. But Michigan State has nothing to gain. Michigan, teams are about equal that. So Michigan has nothing to gain in this game. They would get trounced. Everybody knows it. Some people are saying, this is Michigan's way of trying to keep the Ohio State out of the playoff game, committee, Big Ten championship, whatever. No, it has nothing to do with it. The Big Ten was already in the process of changing these rules, I'm pretty sure. They have now officially changed the rules to allow them to get in without the 5 or 6 game minimum. Not a big surprise there. Ohio State, if you watch them play, you understand they're an extremely good team. It would be a travesty if Ohio State did not get an opportunity to play in a championship game and prove themselves worthy of being in college football playoffs. The team is really good. And that's the reason for having the committee is to pick the best teams. So if you watch the eyeball test, they certainly passed the eyeball test. If you want to say, they haven't played as many games as somebody else, that's one of those arguments that some people are going to agree with, some people not going to agree with. So you're just kind of better to just leave it alone. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that aspect of it. I'll be honest with you, if they played 10 games, I'm pretty sure they'd win almost every one of them for sure. So yeah. Okay, Muschamp's fired. Everybody knew Muschamp was fired. This is one of those things you kind of see the writing on the wall. Muschamp had renegotiated his contract, I think, at the end of last year for less money for this year, and I think he lessened his buyout as well. And I think that was in order to keep his job. Seems to be something similar happening to Mr. Harbaugh. I wonder. On top of that, they got Mr. Beamer, Mr. Shane Beamer. He takes the job apparently, but tells South Carolina, I'm not coming over just yet. I'm going to finish the season to Oklahoma. USC fans are mad, and nobody cares that USC fans are mad. Talking about South Carolina Junior. And South Carolina, look, this guy, he's built a great rapport with his players over there. You should be happy that he has that kind of loyalty, that he cares enough about that team to want to finish the season with them. That's what you're buying. That's part of what you're buying. It's what you're getting. Nothing to be mad about there. I mean, it's not unusual for coaches to wait till the end of the season. Let's see. Tennessee Jordan Allen enters the transfer. He was a 4-star, highly rated tight end, I believe. No, wide receiver / tight end. Who knows where he's going to go? Apparently he doesn't like Jeremy Pruitt. I did notice he kind of dresses like a rock star, though. I like the guy's hair. It looks pretty cool. So I don't know where he's going to end up at. Now let's jump over and talk about a team that I really don't like. And I'm not talking about Vanderbilt. I'm talking about Notre Dame. I don't like Notre Dame. Sorry, I've never liked Notre Dame. Never gonna like Notre Dame. And one of the biggest reasons for that is because of the refusal to join a conference. And please don't get on here if you're a Notre Dame fan and jump up and down and say, hey, Notre Dame finally joined a conference for a season, and look, we're destroying everybody. That's not how that works, okay? It's not that you join a conference 1 year and that you're doing well, and that's why we don't join a conference. No, that's not how it works. You take your lumps like everybody else in the conference, just like Georgia's taking this year, just like Alabama's taken a few times. I mean, that's part of it. Join a conference and run the same gauntlet as everybody else. The SEC has cannibalized itself this year. Obviously, it's been rough not having extra games to play to get tuned up. Please don't at me with the ACC is just as good as the SEC, because nobody believes that, including most of the ACC fans. So Notre Dame is likely losing their defensive coordinator, Clark Leah. He is interviewed for the Vanderbilt head coach position. Derek Mason's fired. Guy was 0-8. Clearly the worst team in the SEC. So much to the point that SEC fans are like, why do we have them in here? Does anybody know? Because they're not doing anything. So Clark Leah is a former Vanderbilt player. Really like this, like the whole idea of a former player for that team coming back and being a head coach and help getting it turned around. And the guy's from Nashville, so there's a lot to be said for that. I just personally have always liked it when the coaches or players are from the place that they're playing at or for. So just kind of a neat little caveat for me. Oh, and I guess we might as well talk about the Georgia game coming up this weekend in Missouri. So, yeah. Let me see if I can pull this up for you guys real quick. I had it right here. I want to make sure I get it right. Here we go. Number 9 Georgia is preparing for its first ranked opponent in over a month in 25 ranked Missouri. But there's something else. Something else to keep on their radar. Cold, wet, and windy. For whatever reason, Georgia struggles with weather. Like, when we play in weather, for whatever reason, I don't care who we're playing, we struggle. We played against South Carolina last year. Lost. Blamed it on the weather. So I guess that's what we're doing again this year. We're gonna pick out another team here and struggle in some weather. The forecast as of right now is forecasted to be a high at 41 and a low of 28. That's according to the Weather Channel. 60% chance of rain, possibility of snow, with high winds that will fluctuate between 10 and 20 miles an hour. Yeah. We're not used to that. You got players saying, oh yeah, we're full on ready to embrace that. We're accepting the challenge that the weather has. Listen to me, dogs. I've lived in a cold weather climate. You can say that, but I can tell you right now, standing outside in 35-degree weather is one thing. Standing outside in 35-degree weather with the wind blowing 5 miles an hour is another. Standing outside in the rain, just flat rain, 35 mile an hour, no breeze. That's rough. That's worse. Standing outside, 35-degree weather, snow and ice whipping around 10 to 20 miles an hour. And you running around up and down the field, hustling and sweating, sucking in that cold air. Oh, it's not what you think. It's misery. And I'm just a little curious as to how well that's going to affect the game. I would assume this is going to be a run-heavy game. Not that Missouri could really stop it if they wanted to, but still, Georgia's out there right now. They're trying to play without arm sleeves and gloves and all this. Listen, you've been out there running around sweating. I don't care if you're wearing a trench coat. It's 35 degrees outside. You're about to freeze to death, man. It is cold. I would imagine that they probably have been practicing in the practice facility that Georgia has with the ACs cranked wide open and doing all they can. But it also gives these guys an opportunity to get an experience of those that have not had the experience of playing in really cold weather. Now, it looks like this year we're going to be playing a little later in the season than what we normally play, obviously. But I get some teams play in the New Year's, 6 bowls and whatnot. But it's been a while. And another thing you got to put into context is that the ball gets really cold. Now, I would imagine they're going to try to have some way to heat them up a little bit. But by the time you go out there and you punt a ball, that thing's going to be like kicking a rock. Oh, man. Yeah, that's going to be rough. So, yeah, if it's super cold, it's super cold. They're going to have to deal with it. But I'm going to give you guys the hype and hate video later. But, man, so much is going on right now in college football. Oh, and I forgot to mention, in case you hadn't noticed, Georgia has moved up to the number 3 ranked position for the 2021 recruiting class, with more guys on the way. There's at least 2 more 5-stars that are leaning heavily towards Georgia. We'll see what happens. Like to pick those guys up. There's also some other 4-stars and 5-stars out there that could easily come to Georgia. And if you take into consideration Georgia could pick up a 5-star transfer and maybe another 4-star transfer, it could be really interesting as to what happens. People are getting into the conversation about JT Daniels maybe leaving after this year. That's not happening. He's going to be around. He's got to make sure that leg and that knee is better before he tries to run off to the NFL, because those scouts and those NFL doctors, they're going to go over that knee with a fine-tooth comb. He needs to be 1,000% with that knee. So, yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's it for me. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, share. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you so much. We're going to be doing a trash talk video. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow night when we're going to do the live show, 8:30-ish. Yeah. So we'll see you guys soon. Have a great day. God bless. Go Dogs. What do I do with that?